Go ahead and go, John.
Well, welcome everyone. I am John Canning, and I sadly am not in Kentucky. Sinus infections don't ever mix well with traveling, apparently. But thank you, Jay and Andrew, for inviting me this morning. And looking forward to hopefully meeting more folks as we get this grand endeavor underway.
John, are you able to hear me?
Andrew, I'm now able to hear you. Sorry.
That's right.
Repeat the question. Sorry.
So tell us a little bit about your background in entertainment at Microsoft and then at NBC Universal.
Certainly. Thank you. I have a bit of a winding and interesting trail, folks. I spent a lot of years in key telecommunication design, of doing things for actually Scientific Atlanta, developing cable modems and set-top boxes. And then, having decided that I wanted to stop building infrastructure, I went to Microsoft, where I was working across the interactive media landscape. And for me, this has been a journey of doing everything from early OTT platforms to interactive TV and back again. And then along with that, my whole, reason for doing that was to actually work in gaming, because for me, the interactive space was about gaming. It was about telling stories in gaming environments. So I've always worked in this cross-platform environment that involved gaming platforms, TV, storytelling. And that has sort of been my journey over the last 20 years, is always coming back to these principal technologies. From Microsoft, I actually moved into a production background, coming down to Southern California for Yahoo, and doing early video blogs and platforms like that. But then coming back to, again, this multi-platform storytelling and content creation and delivery. So the last 6 years I've spent at NBC Television, working as the VP of Interactive, where I was doing first screen interactivity, second screen interactivity, the VR to AR continuum, and games, but always looking at taking intellectual property and applying the best technology and creative to helping bring that to life. So this effort, and what drew me to working in this effort, is that core foundation and that core belief that we could take interesting IP and go cross-platform with it, enable storytellers to tell different stories in different styles on different platforms, and enable creators principally to be able to create in that environment. So as this project has grown, that is that core premise for me, and coming to it.
Well, I look at you as one of those unique individuals actually in Hollywood, well, at least in LA, who has the ability to not only understand the franchises that exist in movies and television, but also in video games, and understand the creative process as a producer to actually getting those types of games and those types of experiences made. When you look at this next innovation run that we're headed into with everything that you know about VR and AR, and where we're headed with licensing some of these larger properties, do you see anybody who's really primed to be able to take advantage of those new situations in the marketplace?
So I think the question, and sorry, it's just a bit hard for me to hear on that question, but I believe you're talking about, are there people trying to take advantage from an IP standpoint of a multi-platform universe? Is that correct?
Yeah, and how we can actually get to that cross reality that we're promising with.
Sure. I'll that's an easy journey to just go simply point back to what I think the team at NBC Universal is doing. You can look across both Universal Pictures, you can look at Sci-Fi. They are, and they always have been, and I think the business has always wanted to leverage an IP, a strong IP, and get more out of it. And you see that Sci-Fi has been doing that more with Expanse. And it's always been bits and pieces because doing cross-platform work is hard. Being able to do it cost effectively is hard. Universal Pictures is certainly always doing that and thinking about that, certainly in the gaming team, going beyond the marketing pieces to how do they leverage IP for either movies that are coming out or have been out. So a Fast and Furious title, a Jurassic Park. But then they're reaching into the back catalogs, and they recently did an indie game promotion and launch, and that is for Turok, Battlestar Galactica, and some of those properties you can do a lot of different interesting gaming styles with. And I think if there is a platform that exists that enables developers or IP holders to let different developers build in their particular genres and connect some of these things together, there's some interesting things to be done. It won't work for every IP, but there are some IPs that are certainly interesting when you give people the ability to touch them and experience them in ways that are potentially platform unique or player gameplay specific.
Kind of moving from games being a merchandising thing like T-shirts and other promotional items to actually being part of that richer experience for the consumer in the franchise. So you bring a unique set of skills to this team. Obviously, your background having been in both television, film, and in games. When you're looking at this next step with Convergence, what do you, I mean, is it the independence, or is it even actually working with some of those larger studios to be able to bring them onto our platform?
Sure. I think the interesting opportunity is both. I think there's great IP out there that could potentially be brought in, but I think this enables potentially a setting up an IP, and a independent could come in and work on a particular aspect of that IP that is unique to them. Maybe there's an AR game that gets developed by an independent, and maybe the console aspect is being developed by a different company, or a group of independents that decide to get together to tackle selected parts of a game or game universe. So I think what you're seeing is the mixing and matching, the ability to mix and match the players, not the players, but the developers in a coherent universe.
Well, and that kind of brings a fine point to our strategy and actually bringing the funds that we've been discussing and just starting to expose. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more here. But actually to be funding some of these independents as well as some of the larger studios. When you look at that, I mean, obviously a big portion of that's picking the right projects, picking the right IPs, but also picking the right studios. You're kind of in a unique place where you can have a perspective not only historically about what's worked, but also where the deals are to get done. So the question, I guess, is how do you see this fund strategy that we're looking at deploying inside of Hollywood?
Well, I think the big challenge that I know in many developers is the ability to get started and to have enough funds to know that you've got runway to get to that finish line. And any chance that somebody can get that doesn't mean they have to max out their credit cards and leverage their lives for the end game is key. And that the ability to be able to fund, there are great developers out there, and I've seen amazing development shops that have had to close because they got overextended financially on a race to something that would be profitable, but they just had to get there.
Yeah, okay. I think just to conclude, I want to open it up for anybody who wants to ask John a couple of questions, and then we'll, I think just with this medium, probably do the panel with the people that are here present, because I think it's a little bit difficult to get the audio visual to work beyond that. But any questions for John?
Unfortunately, you reduced the modularity to that of Robbie the robot. So I missed that final pivotal question.
I'm letting you out of the next panel discussion, so you're going to be good to go. I just want to see if there's any other questions from the audience before I let you go. Anybody? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm also on the chat window. If somebody just wanted to type them into me, it's easy for me to check them out there.
I think we're going to call it closed. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. And thanks for Skyping into or Zooming into us today.
Sorry I couldn't be there, guys.
Yep.
I'll try to breathe next time.